Hi, this is Gerard Brown. You are tuned in to a GoodFellaMedia.com exclusive. I was helping a friend of mine move. This is true, so this was about 3 months ago. I was helping a friend of mine move from his apartment on like the Upper West Side, and these moving guys came in and they, you know, like they were moving the furniture up. And I was going through his books because he and his wife were unloading a bunch of books, so I was sitting on the living room floor, like going through the books, trying to decide which books I wanted to keep. And I'm in there alone, and then all of a sudden, one of the guys comes bursting back into the apartment and said, "Hey man, somebody just told me that you wrote Juice." I was like, "Oh yeah." And he came up and he hugged me. He's a big guy, picking up and he hugs, "Oh man." So, you know, when stuff like that happens, because as a rapper, nobody knows who I am. You know, like at functions even. When I go into functions, I'm on that, hi, like what's going on. But then somebody will point out, that's the guy who was screaming for Juice. They're in my face. Hi, you know, so that's something to get used to. I actually started in theater. I'm a former writer in residence with the New York Shakespeare Festival. I'm basically a stage writer. I'm basically a playwright who writes film. And I was Happily Ever After, Fairy Tales for Every Child for HBO, for Spawn for HBO. I lived out in LA. I did writing assignments for propaganda films, for Paramount Pictures, for PBS, for whoever else. I also did, one of the things I'm most proud of, I did the first all a cappella music special for Great Performances for PBS, which was the season premiere, and it was hosted by Spike Lee and Debbie Allen. I'm very, very proud of how that turned out. So like my first creative writing instructor, John Oliver Killens, the late, great, brilliant John Oliver Killens, who was the first writer who came to me. I started writing actually when I was in college, basically so I could meet girls, because that's where the girls were all poetry readers. And then he jumped on me about writing some short stories from when I played, and I did that. And he was the first person to say to me that he felt like he's right. He was the first person that said that to me, that I figured he knew what he was talking about. He just told us just to be observers of life. And when I wrote Juice, I wasn't living in Harlem. You just make a mental note of everything. You listen to people and you get into dialogue. I mean, basically, Ernest just had he only had 4 scenes in the set. He had 4 basic characters and 4 scenes in the set. And that's it. And basically, I had to mesh it out. I had to give them first names and last names. I had to give them, except for Bishop and Q. I had to give them families. I had to give them living situations. I had to give them relationships. It was stuff basically that I learned from doing theater. Ernest Dickinson and I went to college together. We went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., and that's where we met. And like we both came to New York. He came to New York to study film. I came to New York to pursue a career in theater. And what happened was he had the idea for Juice. He had the story idea. He needed a writer to write the screenplay. And since I was the only writer he knew that could write, that would write a script for free, he came and asked me, so I wrote it, and he gave me notes, and I wrote a second draft. It sat up on the shelf for about 3 years. And one of my plays was running out in Los Angeles. This is how Juice got made. One of my plays was running out in Los Angeles, and from that I got an agent. I got a West Coast agent. She called me. Well, basically, you know, she went to the play, and she was just starting out. Her name is Sarah Margocious. She was just starting out, and she wanted to assign me. So the producers of the play, like in Los Angeles, told her how to get in touch with me, and I was living at home at the time, and she contacted me, and so I signed with her, and she said, "Send me everything you've ever written," so I signed everything, including Juice. Now, David Heyman, who has done Harry Potter films, and Neil Moritz, who has done the Fast and Furious films and the Triple X films with Ice Cube and Vin Diesel, and most recently Battle in Los Angeles. They were partners there. They had a project that they wanted a rewrite on. So Sarah sent them Juice as a writing sample to try to get me that writing job. But they read the script and they decided that they didn't want to do the script that they originally were going to do. They decided to do Juice instead. That's how Juice got it. So my agent, Juice wasn't really a pitch. It was just a writing sample that was sent out. David and Peter Peter Franklin was the other producer, David, Peter, and Neil. And the executive producers, they wanted 4 rappers in their league. So we looked at a ton of rappers. And Omar Epps just graduated from performing outside. He was 17, he had to come in 5. He had 4 callbacks. Tupac was with a group at the time called Digital Underground. And he actually was in the hallway trying to rap to some women. This is a true story. And Ernest went out there with like some of the sides and said, hey, like, you want to read from one of the parts? And he said, sure. Now we had no idea at the time he had graduated from performing on time in Baltimore. So he read some sides for Q's part first for like Omar Epps, and he was good. But then the casting director, Gerard Brown, said give him the sides for Bishop. And so they gave him the sides for Bishop. He went on the hallway like he came back in and he nailed it. And that's what we knew. We had Bishop. Theater is the writer's medium, television is the producer's medium, and the movies are the director's medium. So when I was writing plays, you know, like I'm working on another musical now with a partner, with Jim Burton. Whenever the director wants to change a word, a line, they have to come to you, they have to clear it with you in order to do that. In film, they will take your stuff and run on the block with it, and they'll come back and they'll be like, whoa, and your name is still on it, you know. In the original script, when Bishop dies, it's like he chooses death, as opposed to slipping out of Q's hand. He breaks Q's grip because he hears the sirens, and the line is, I ain't going to jail, man, I'm not going to jail, because of what happened to his father. He's not going to go to jail. But the producers felt that that sent a bad message. So, which was why, for a while, it's only been recently, well, within the past few years, that when I've gone to screens, that I can sit through the entire film, because I get up to that last part and, you know, I have to get him walk out in the lobby. You sob. Advice for people, right? Get into a workshop, if you can. The book that helped me the most was a book by Linda Seeger called Making a Good Script Great. To me, that helped me the most in terms of, because I was a theater writer, so I had to go from 2-act structure to like 3-act structure, which is what movies are. And to do that and to write. But like initially, don't worry about format, don't worry about anything. Just get your ideas out. Just get them all down on paper, okay? Decide on what your premise is. What is your voice? What are you saying? Anybody can teach you structure. You have to develop your own style, and you have to develop your own voice, and you have to develop what you want to say. I would suggest to anyone that wants to write to just write. Don't look to be discovered. Also, when I first came to New York, I had an armload of plays. I went to every theater. Nobody would do any of my plays. I went and got a grant from National Endowment for the Arts. I went right out of theater, hired a director, and we got the cast, and I could put the play up like off-Broadway showcase. It was only supposed to run for like 12 performances, and wound up running for like 6 months. And it was picked up then and went to the New York Shakespeare Festival. If I hadn't done that, you know, I mean, I don't know where I'd be. I probably wouldn't be acknowledged or anything like that.
Stay alerted on fees, and I do work with these like Hercules. Switch to southpaw, split your right jaw, cause I don't like all hyper nightfall. Smooth, but I move like a